certainly happened to me, usually when I'm trying to get somewhere I'm not supposed to go so I can go riding. So in this case, what we're going to do is pull that vehicle out of the ditch with the Axon 55 that we have on the front of this John Deere. So one thing, I know Chad talked about it a little earlier today, but with our winches, there's a duty cycle to them, right? So yes, the winch is capable of 5,500 pounds, but it can only do that for probably 10 or 15 feet before you got to stop and let the thing cool down. You know, if you wanted to pull 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, it could do it for the full 50 feet of the rope. But in this case, since we have a 9,500 pound Super Duty down there with 35-inch tires on it, we're going to be using that full 5,500 pounds to get it back up on the trail. So because of that, we got to be a little bit creative of how we're going to rig this thing up. Sure, we could have that vehicle attached to a tree back there and just do a straight line pull all the way down to it, but we're going to be pulling that thing 40 or 50 feet before it's back up on the trail and out of the ditch and get going. So by the time you pull it, let it cool back down, that sort of thing, we're going to be here for about half an hour. We want to get back up to the trailhead and get riding, so we're going to do a little bit of creative rigging, use that full 5,500 pounds to get the truck out of the ditch, on the trail, back to riding sooner. So this is an interactive demo, so you guys bring your winch gloves. You're going to be helping us rig this thing up. Tree strap, sometimes too, in case you're going around a bigger tree. The #1 killer of a synthetic rope is abrasion. So what we're doing here is by always having a tree strap with us, we're never wrapping that rope around the tree. That's where we see the most rope failures out there. So he's going to wrap that tree strap around there, and then we have a snatch block conveniently placed on the ground. The way we're going to do this is you slide the snatch block apart, stick your rope through there, it just loops around like that. Slide it back together. You see that D-ring? You're just going to put her all together. Okay, so one little trick of the trade. Oh no, we forgot one. Okay.
It's the pressure.
That was pressure.
Yeah. We got 20 minutes to burn. That's all right.
I'd go slower.
Okay, so one little bit of advice. I always tighten it all the way down and back off after turn. So what can happen if you tighten it all the way down, this thing's got a lot of load on it. If it starts moving back and forth, you can work that pin in so tight that you can't get it back out by hand. And even if you put a crescent wrench on there, you'll be sitting like this trying to get it apart, right?
Good idea.
So you back it off half a turn, and you can always get it off by hand when you're done.
Yep.
So go ahead and pull this into the line, and just go ahead and attach it to the D-ring we got on the front of the Super Duty down here. Okay, and lastly, what you always want to do, you can go ahead and set that down if you want to, but you always put a winch line damper on each section of rope that you have. So we've got 2 dampers out here, one for that section of rope and one for this section of rope. That is Warren's purpose-built rope damper, but in this case we're actually using that tool roll that you saw earlier. It actually doubles as a winch line damper with how we put the Velcro on it. So you can just wrap it over there like that, put it down, and you're good to go. So now you can actually go ahead and pop it back into the engage position. So a couple of things to note here. You can see how we've got the line going out and angled over to the side because we're trying to pull him back up on that trail. So in a rigging situation like this, we can get him back up on the trail with only about 10 feet of rope, 10 feet of pull, and he can get on his way. The other thing is we're down all the way at the bottom layer of rope. It's that bottom layer where you're going to get the maximum pulling capacity of the winch. As you start stacking rope up, it's kind of acting like a lever. So the line will be going faster, but you're getting less pulling power.
Strap.
We'll get to that in a little moment. Okay, so go ahead and power in a little bit, Clark. on the brakes as hard as you can. Basically, we're exceeding what the tire capacity, what the load that the tires can pull against the winch. And it's very common in a situation quite like this where you've got a lot of line load and you're just on flat ground. So what you can do is actually anchor the vehicle into place to get the maximum pulling power of that winch so you're not just pulling your vehicle forward. So Clark, can you let off a little bit? So what we've done is we actually have a strap running back around that tree and up to the front of the vehicle. Basically, there's two ways you can hold that vehicle down. You can either run it from the back of the vehicle to the tree, but what you're doing is you're putting all that line load of the winch all the way through the vehicle. Some vehicles can take it, but it really depends on how the chassis is built. So what we prefer to do is anchor it at the front of the vehicle. That way all that load is going through the strap and not through the chassis. Remember, that Super Duty weighs 9,500 pounds, has 35-inch tires on it, is on about a 45-degree incline. I mean, it is steep. You guys will walk up and down that. We were able to use that full pulling capacity of the winch for about 15 minutes or 15 feet. Back up on the trail, you can go on his merry way. Clark, what colors did you see in there?
I saw some yellow and a little bit of orange.
So a yellow and a little bit of orange, that means he's getting up to around, 75 to 80% of the capacity of the winch. So since this is a 5500, that means we're up there kind of the high 4000s in terms of what we're actually pulling. So in this case, a little creative rigging. That full 5,500 pounds of pulling power, we were able to turn what would have been, a hour-long recovery into, what we've been here, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We're back riding. Synthetic rope, and really wire rope for that matter, you always want to spool it onto your drum if you're going to do another load under some amount of load. But in the case of where you've just done a recovery on the trail and you're just trying to pull it in, you can suck all that rope in there, wind it onto the spool, as long as you know that you're going to come back later and wind it back on under load. So go ahead and power in, Clark. So you can see as we're winding in here, we have the tapered edges on the side of the drum. Not only does that help it when you're spooling the rope back on, but say you're doing a side pull where you're really pulling over on that side, it keeps the rope from all stacking on one side of the drum, which means that it's less likely to make us all the way up to the top layer and damage your tie plate or your tie rod. Why do some people take the rope and wind it around their bumper? Because they're lazy.